I believe we are live. Welcome back to LOI TV. We're just going to wait a few more minutes, I think, just for a few more people to join in before going ahead and getting into it properly. But I was actually going to cancel tonight's show, really, to be honest with you, because there hasn't been an awful lot going on as of late, really, has there?
Yeah, it hasn't really been a whole lot. Apart from that, I think there was some streaming service announced or something. Did anyone
I heard that. I think I did hear that, actually.
Watch LOI got confirmed for the second year, didn't it? Like, brilliant news.
Oh,
yeah,
they're streaming the women's and the first division, aren't they?
All right, so Watch LOI is back, so they're all just calling it all Watch LOI, is it?
No. I think that's there's a different name for the first division and the women's.
Oh. Jesus, that's a bit weird. What's the name of it?
LOI TV.
LOI TV, but that's us.
I didn't realize we were streaming the games.
Anyways.
Oh my god!
Sorry about that. Welcome back to Cautiously Optimistic, the LOI TV live show, and
the original LOI.
A few bits to talk about. Yeah, exactly, the original LOI TV, and we do have a lot to get through in tonight's show. I hope you're all well. How are we keeping, lads?
Great.
Pretty good, yeah. I think that was an absolutely brilliant intro. My agent will be taking my calls from now on, so yeah, it's a call, shocking.
Do appreciate it if you can drop a like on the stream and subscribe as well, guys. We're working towards 3K, and yeah, what's the like target? It's the usual 50 likes. So hopefully we can hit that this evening. Hi to the real LOI TV. Come on.
That's it, yeah.
There we go.
The one and only.
John, I don't think there's anywhere else to really start apart from where we probably should start, which is with ourselves for once. Interestingly enough, so obviously the streaming service for the First Division and the Women's National League has been named LOI TV by the powers that be. And yeah,
interesting. I don't know where they got the name from. I swear I've heard it before. I don't know.
Such creativity, it's brilliant.
Yeah. But obviously, we all need to say first, it's amazing news for the league, and we're obviously all excited for it. And same with the Watch LOI coming back, we've been calling for the last couple of weeks. But it leaves a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. I don't know about you guys.
Listen, I think we are all disappointed by it, and there's no two ways about it. At this particular moment, it might be a bit disappointing for you lot, but we can't say too much about it at this moment. There has been contact made between the two parties. It sounds so dramatic. There has been contact made, though. There has been contact made between the two parties, and let's just say we're hopeful of a resolution being suitable for all parties involved. And I think that's probably.
Honestly, you're like Jim White on transfer deadline day there. Oh my god.
Sorry guys, we can't speak about ongoing legal matters. We can't speak about
Believe me, when this is all over, we'll love to talk about it, but there's so much going on at the moment.
Mourinho, if I speak, I'm in trouble. I prefer not to speak.
Yeah, no, but I think the main thing we can probably say is what we're pretty vocal on Twitter actually last week and stuff, just in terms of saying we kind of initially made a bit of a joke out of it, which is probably it's kind of like what our brand's about, just kind of having a laugh with it really, and Better Call Saul and all that. But on a whole, I think it's just fair to say that we are disappointed by it, but it is an ongoing process, and hopefully there will be a resolution for all parties.
Yeah, just adding real quick, so I'll cut across Hocko, but we got real good response from people, which was it wasn't surprising because obviously I think the LOI kind of fan base are pretty it's pretty tight knit as it is, but it was real nice to see even Drogheda United tweeting about us hashtag Justice for LOI this is this LOI TV is just so good. So many people had said it to me and the other lads as well, during the week. Just got so much attention from it. It's really good, and it was appreciated if you even if you dropped a like on one of the things that we put up. It's well appreciated.
I think a few of the tweets are most liked and viewed tweets that we've had in a long time, if not ever. So a lot of the grassroots pages and fans, and we got a load of DMs and messages of support. And yeah, putting aside our own thing at the moment, the deal that was announced was absolutely brilliant news. I'm just reading here. RT will broadcast over 50 Premier Division matches. Watch LOI is coming back until the summer at least, and then the new streaming service for the First Division and the Women's National League. So yeah, there were worries in the last few weeks that a lot of fans wouldn't be able to see a lot of games, and obviously there won't be fans back in the grounds until I'd say at least like after the summer.
Yeah, for sure.
It's hard to see before then. So yeah, putting aside our little, like, not little issue, but putting aside our issue, at the moment, we're all fully in support of the announcement, and yeah, absolutely brilliant news. Yeah,
100%. I think that's probably more or less all we have to say. And anyone else want to add anything they can, but I think that's more or less. As they covered, forget marketing. That message should be in law, judging by that response.
Maybe I think it should be in acting.
Acting from the very start. Yeah,
Sorry.
Absolutely. Masters in acting. And can't wait to watch real LOI TV before I have to watch a whole season of Cork City on the fake LOI TV. Yeah, lovely stuff. But yeah, before we jump into the next topic, guys, just please drop a like on the stream. Greatly appreciated, and do subscribe as well. But yeah, there's a lot going on at the moment in terms of Irish news as well from the national team. We saw last week Anthony Barry, former Wigan Athletic and current Chelsea coach, brought in to replace, I think, Damien Duff, isn't it, as his replacement? They kind of swap in that terms of his role. So he will continue working at Chelsea. Thomas Tuchel has been impressed with him so far. And what I was thinking about this one, as obviously we could get back to just the general of it, but I was thinking, could obviously Chelsea playing with this kind of three or five at the back formation, could he be able to convince Kenny to try it out potentially?
Yeah, possibly. I'm not sure if it's a good point, but I'm not sure if it's. I think that's up to the Chelsea manager that was there. Like under Lampard, we were pretty much exclusively a 4-3-3. But Tuchel has been playing three at the back now for the last 8-9 games. So I'm not sure if it's more up. It's probably more up to the manager, whoever's in charge. But one thing I would add is that, like, as a Chelsea fan myself, we were absolutely leaking goals last year. It was our worst goals conceded since 1994, I think. So Anthony Barry was brought in last summer, and up until Frank was sacked, and I think we've 5 or 6 clean sheets in the last 9 games under Tuchel. The goals conceded has improved, like, vastly. We're much more assured at the back. Defending set pieces much better. And a lot of that Lampard and Tuchel have said is down to Anthony Barry. On the training pitch, he's a very, very intense guy. And like Frank was let go, Jody Morris, and a few other coaches left the setup when Frank got the sack. But Anthony Barry was kept on by Tuchel. He was really impressed by him in the first few training sessions. So yeah, it's super appointment. Obviously, kind of, you'd say big shoes to fill with Damien Duff, but he'll have a few days with the squad before the match on March 26th. So yeah, good luck to him.
Yeah, for sure. As a Wigan fan myself, and you're obviously a Chelsea fan, so you know how much of an impact he's had. And obviously at Wigan, it was a huge blow to lose him over the whole kind of summer where we went through administration. It was there's this blow after blow nearly. So losing him was obviously massive as well. And the fact that Chelsea, being the tight club that they are, did refuse to give Wigan any compensation, a club entering administration, while they're spending 75 million on Kai Havertz. So yeah, no, they're a good bunch of lads, but no sour grapes on my end. But no, he left Wigan. Obviously, going to Chelsea from Wigan just shows you kind of how much of a reputation he has, I suppose, and everything I've heard about him has been really positive. So hopefully it's a good addition to the Irish coaching setup.
Yeah, I just might add before we move on, there's a kind of Ireland and League of Ireland link Dan McDonnell had in the Independent. As a trainee at Coventry, Barry spent 6 months with Rory Higgins, Kenny's trusted chief scout and opposition analysts. And Barry's 2 spells as a player at Accrington Stanley. He crossed paths with Darren Randolph and Sean Maguire at the early stages of their careers.
That's good digging. That's a really good digging, isn't it? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, my God.
He spent a bit of time with ex-Sligo boss Paul Cook as well. And yeah, as you say, he spent 3 years with Cook at Wigan. And Kenny has said that He's an innovative coach with an energetic style and is someone I've been aware of for a few years now. The skill set Anthony brings will complement the existing coaching team, and I look forward to him joining up in March for the qualifiers.
Class. Yeah, no, it all sounds really good. And obviously, I think we were all a bit worried when Duff initially was announced that he was leaving, because obviously Duff was such a big blow because he's so passionate about Irish football and he just wants the best for it. So I think it is a really good replacement, I suppose. And I was happy when I saw the news coming through. In other news on Irish football as well, bit of bad news, I suppose, with McLean and Jack Byrne both being ruled out through injury. They were both missed. I think it's Serbia and Luxembourg, I think, is it in March? I think they missed both games, so big blow.
Yeah, no, McLean's going to be out for, I think it's 6 weeks at least, isn't it? And then Jack Byrne, obviously, I mean, pretty horrific start, all things considered, for him in Cyprus, isn't it? 3 months now he's going to be out with, I think it's a slip disc or something in his back. Yeah. But it's just not a good start at all, really, after Mick leave. And then eventually he seemed to be getting a bit more playing time the last few weeks. And then for that to happen is just a nightmare. To be honest, I'm not even sure he would have got into the Irish squad on the basis of, his recent playing time and stuff. I know he's been playing in Cyprus, but it's still it's a big blow. He's a big blow, and you don't want to see that, after a big move, a pretty big money move in terms of the amount that he's going to be getting paid over there and stuff. And some of the, owners in Cyprus, although, that could be a bit dodgy sometimes. So 3 months out now, you want to see him bounce back and do well. But yeah, pretty big blow for both of them.
Yeah,
for sure.
McLean's the one like that. This would have been a definite for the squad, and I probably would have considered starting him depending on the injuries, because it's likely that we will have probably COVID cases and injuries come March. But probably would have considered starting McLean in a game like that away in Serbia. But Burns kind of on the fringe. He kind of moved there to try and probably increase his chances of getting into the international squad, and it's just gone completely opposite way from him. So you have to kind of feel from the whole manager situation and then get an injury like this 3 months so. But it's not good news.
Yeah,
it has been
McLean.
It has been confirmed that McLean's definitely out of the qualifiers, because I saw a report saying 3 to 4 weeks. So
I saw 4 to 6.
If he's on the edge, he's definitely just going to try and go himself.
That's what I was thinking. But if it's been confirmed, it's been confirmed. But 3 or 4 weeks from today, I think the first match is the 26th and the second is the 29th. So probably clutching at straws, but it doesn't look great.
If ever there was a player to play through an injury, it's James McLean. I think we can all say that. So and I think as you said, Tyke, I think McLean probably would start in Serbia. Just that experience that he has a knack of kind of popping up in big moments, I suppose. And
it depends who we would have had. Who we're going to have fit at the time. We have the likes of Robinson and Connolly, you might both play, or Brady or something like that. But at the same time, I probably would start with myself.
No, definitely. Jack Byrne, would he get in the squad for you if he was fully fit? If we have a full squad to pick from?
It's one of those things. Depends how much he was playing, in Cyprus. You know what I mean? He had been the next month. He had been playing, scoring goals and stuff over there. But I really don't think he would have made it in.
I don't think so. I think he had the League of Ireland thing going from a lot of fans kind of pressuring the decision nearly. Whereas I think in Cyprus, he kind of gets forgotten about a little bit. You don't like to say it, but I think it's the way it is.
Yeah, you see bits and pieces and you see reports. And I think since he moved over, he hasn't really been getting his game at all between injuries and other issues. And so, I say probably wouldn't have. Unfortunately, the move has probably worked out the opposite way as what he would have hoped.
Yes.
Yeah.
So far,
it's going to be very tough for him to get back into the squad as well. 3 months out with an injury and coming back into the squad where he wasn't even playing a lot before, they change managers like they change clothes, So I wouldn't be surprised if they have another manager by the time he gets back from injury. So it's going to be very tough for him to get back, and I won't be surprised. And we were saying this before he got injured. Wouldn't be surprised if he came back here or he went to England or something. So hope the best for him.
Yeah, for sure. It's the emergence of Jason Knight and Malumbi coming through as well. They're all playing in the championship. It's gonna push him out of the squad, you feel.
Definitely.
Even Jamie McGrath as well. He scored 10 goals now in Scotland with St Mirren. Could be an outside shout to get into the squad. Because I feel in the SPL you're still a bit more kind of in vision of the Ireland squad a bit more maybe.
Obviously, Kenny is well aware like the SPFL from his time in Scotland as well. So like,
and I think he managed McGrath at Dundalk as well for a bit as well, so he'd know well of him. But yeah, I think did you see Roy Keane actually talking about Matt Doherty on Sky yesterday, lads? Because he is kind of started off with a big argument between him and Jamie Redknapp over Spurs, and it kind of brought Matt Doherty into it, and he got a bit of stick in it. Do you have any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the Sky thing is kind of like it's dramatized. How to say the word dramatized, but like like at the end of the day, he gets booked more like if he's more dramatic and stuff like that. So he kind of plays up to it a bit, I think. But it wasn't very kind. I saw the clip of it. But I think at the end of the day, he's kind of right this year. Like, I mean, Doherty really has not shown enough. Like the 50 million thing, you kind of saw why if they hadn't been switching to maybe a back five or something like that. But the whole move just seems a bit strange. Like,
it was a weird move, 100%.
Yeah, no, I did get where Keane was coming from. To be fair, like when he was talking about Doherty, he was saying that like he hasn't been good this season. He was good for Wolves, but that was in the back five, like, which is like it's true, like it's completely true. I think it's funny though, because obviously I do think they've had a bit of previous beef, like so. It is quite like, and man, Roy Keane is the most hateful person on the planet as it is. Sometimes he can just like he's just like been holding that in as soon as like. He's one for holding grudges, like, so he's definitely been waiting for that for a while, like, but it's pretty funny, like,
because I think the backstory to it was fire ahead.
I definitely think he got a few things wrong. Like he's been a bit dramatic. Like Reguilon's a good left full. Like, I mean,
he was over exaggerating.
And Dombele would get into the midfield. So I think he's quality, but like I do see where he's coming from. But Doherty, I think he might have got that one right. Like, I mean, if you had looked at like they're signing, Wolves are doing so well, and they're signing one of their better players, like that, you would think that might push them on a bit, but it just hasn't worked out for him. Like,
Matt Doherty just can't play in the back four though. Like that's just the way it is. Like he just doesn't.
I mean, if you had to watch one of our games when he played in right back, like one of the Irish games, like you would have known that. Like,
because the perfect example was that Irish match. I think it was
who's it against?
Switzerland, was it? I think it was Switzerland when it was 1-1, and he fell asleep defensively, and Switzerland, it might have been Denmark, it was a 1-1 draw.
I think it might have been Denmark. Did he score on the Denmark game?
See, that's what I'm saying. Like we went 1-0 down because he like lost concentration and lost his man, and someone crept in around him, and then he went up the other end and got an equaliser. So he needs that three centre halves behind him, because he is good getting forward, like, but then he doesn't work as a winger either, really, does he? So we tried that. Was it Gibraltar or something?
I think so. He still potentially could start both of them. Like, I mean, they're both Premier League players, but at the end of the day,
that's why I think it looks like we have back in, like.
Yeah, I mean that's what we've always wanted. Like, I think most of us would agree that a back five with Coleman, maybe right centre half. Because I mean, the way Coleman's playing, he's a shoe-in to start. Like, I don't know how you couldn't start him. So.
I feel a bit embarrassed actually looking back at myself saying I think Matt Doherty should start ahead of Coleman. I feel a bit embarrassed looking back at myself saying.
To be fair,
at the time,
at the time, I wouldn't change my mind. Like, I mean, it made sense to me at the time. I mean, I think even then though we were both saying like back five. But Doherty was playing week in, week out for Wolves, and he was getting goals, assists, like so. Yeah. I mean,
people were saying he was the best right back in the Premier League and all. Like,
I think it was like statistically and all that shit. Like,
do you know what I mean? Like,
our problem was like we haven't had wingers like that can create chances themselves for a while. Like, our two most creative players like last year would have been Stevenson and Doherty, header in the Premier League. So you want to see them kind of getting forward a bit. Like, we played them in the back four, it's going to stunt them a bit.
Yeah, I just want to give some context to that. So I think Matt Doherty came out and said something about Martin O'Neill after he left the Ireland job, and obviously Roy Keane worked at Martin O'Neill as his assistant. So Matt Doherty said that Roy Keane called him up and said the call was not a good call. I don't know if I should say too much at the risk of getting another one, but I don't want to go through that again. If you were to listen to that, you would be shocked. It wasn't a pleasant call between two human beings at all. He called me a tosser a few times. You're kind of going back and forth. Like, Roy Keane's actually like this, like on screen and off screen. Like, he's the exact same person. Like, he called me a tosser a few times, and we were kind of going back and forth, and he ended up just hanging up the phone on me. I could go into more detail, but I don't want to bring it all back up again when it's totally gone now. It's like PTSD, like.
I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, that's it's mental though. To be fair, like what you see with Roy Keane is it's what you get. Like there's he's no bullshit. Like, and the fact he's doing that to Doherty, like that's so funny. Like,
and it's a player low on confidence at the moment. Like he's does the last thing he needs is this shit brought up. Like,
so funny, like
because he's only really getting minutes in the Europa League at the moment, isn't he? I think that's about it. I think.
Yeah, he's not starting for him in the league anyway.
Certain games you'll change the formation a bit, and you might stick him in instead. But RA's been playing better than him.
Yeah, but it did kind of seem like a.
RA is a gobshot as well, though, isn't he? He makes so many mistakes.
He's not even that good. Like he's not even that good.
Yeah, maybe it's the Mourinho factor. Maybe it was the Mourinho factor that like took Doherty to Spurs, because it did seem like a bit of a strange move at the time, like especially the 50 million price tag. So maybe just the fact that you're going to play for Mourinho, he couldn't turn down. But yeah, it's been a little disappointing so far. Like he possibly would have been a shoe-in, like for a right back if he had been playing great since he got to Tottenham. But like at the moment, if we play with a back four, like Coleman starts every day of the week.
Absolutely.
I mean, remember when he moved like that? So I was thinking like the best thing he could have done was gone there, because like if anyone's going to improve you defensively, it's Mourinho. Like.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I was delighted when I saw it at the time. Yeah, it's like if anyone's going to train you into that back four, like
yeah.
A couple of comments coming in. Roy Keane is great entertainment, but he's been mostly spot on with what he says. Redknapp got too upset and made a balls of his arguments. Both had merit to what they were saying, but emotions took over. Yeah, because I think Redknapp was like making some decent points, but he got so flustered. Like,
yeah, but he's not going to slag off the likes of Dyer and stuff like that. When like Roy Keane was right, like Eric Dyer's just because he can play international level, like doesn't mean he's a good player. Like, but yeah, so kind of like, I agree with you. I don't really disagree with Roy Keane most of the time. Like, but some of the things he was saying, he was just kind of I think maybe it was just because they could generally like there was a bit of delay for everything. They were saying,
exactly.
Like,
they kept talking over each other.
But like.
Yeah,
but I definitely agree with that. Redknapp, when the English players come up, like he's gonna back down and stuff like that. So
yeah, 100%. Eric Dyer is not a good player as well. Like by any stretch of the imagination, he's not a good player. Like
Alderweireld would definitely get in ahead of Maguire and Lindelof. Like,
do you know what I was thinking? Actually, there the other day when I was watching the Arsenal Benfica game, like Vertonghen, would he still get in Spurs' team? I was thinking about that. This is off topic, but.
He wasn't great when he played against when he was playing for Benfica against us. Like he's just old and slow. Like
I think Alderweireld's going towards that as well, doesn't he? He's on like
Alderweireld was like I think he's maybe like 1 or 2 years younger. I could be wrong, but he's definitely getting on. Like he's getting on. But he was. I mean, I think that's why like Tottenham didn't renew his contract in Yanks. They were like, he's getting a bit too old, like a bit too slow. So.
Yeah, that's the thing I'd say. He's looking for like a 3-year deal or something.
It was in the documentary. They were kind of like because they both played with each other in Holland, I think. So they came up like the whole way together, and like then they were just like, we can only sign one of them. Like
Well, they're both from Belgium as well, aren't they? So
one here for Socko actually. Any tips for a CV on Indeed from Frank Lampard?
Oh, he loves it. I'm trying to think who that might be. I have a few things in mind.
I think it's Frank Lampard's my first guess.
Any tips for a CV on Indeed? I would not be the man to ask for that, to be honest.
Just be yourself. Just write a nice cover note. Just be yourself.
Yeah, wear a tie. Wear a tie.
Wear a tie for a CV.
For an interview.
For a CV.
For a CV. Picture of you wearing a tie.
Oh my god. Are the Ireland games on RTE? They didn't show the Nations League. I presume they are they?
I think at World Cup games you legally have to show them on your national channel. Like so if it's World Cup qualifiers they have to show them. But the Nations League is like a Sky One.
Is that legally binding, is it? Like
I think that World Cup games you have to, because BBC always have all the World Cup games and stuff like that in the Euros.
I'd say definitely do.
Like Sky never have any of that. I'm pretty sure they have to show them on RTE.
I think every 4 or 5 years they.
If I'm wrong, someone tell me I'm wrong. But like,
I think every 4 or 5 years they have a deal. But yeah, for the last like 30, 40 years, RTE have had all the World Cup qualifiers. But the Nations League has been Sky Sports so far. So.
I didn't realise. The fella from Superbad was the new FAI CEO.
Oh, just stole my joke from earlier. Like,
Jonathan Hill.
Stole my joke.
It wasn't even good. So the new FAI CEO, John. I was about to say Jonathan Hill.
Very versatile. Like.
He held a press conference and. I know you've looked into the article a bit, Socko, about what he said and stuff. I know he's talked about. I kind of skimmed through it a little bit, but he's talked about a variety of topics, including Damien Duff and Videogate, and was asked about if he's read Champagne Football, and he kind of like ignored the question a little bit, like kind of just brought it in somewhere else. But yeah, I can't. He's like says a lot of stuff like about looking towards the future and stuff, which you kind of understand. Like, there's no real point in looking back at what's gone. So he might tell us more.
Yeah, there was a press conference a few days ago, and as you said, he tried to look towards the future and talk about what lies ahead, but he couldn't really avoid like all the questions of the past or his predecessor. He spoke about Damien Duff, he spoke about Videogate, a bit about Champagne Football, John Delaney, interesting things with the World Cup 2030 bid with the UK. Spoke up about Kenny and the qualifiers. So yeah, could take it one by one, like about Damien Duff's exit. He said a lot, but we didn't really say too much. Like at the same time, we had a long open discussion about a whole range of issues. He took a decision at that particular point in time. He didn't feel comfortable in the role. Damien had clear historical issues with the association. He wants what's best for Irish football, and he made the right decision that was right for him at the time. So pretty much it kind of didn't tell us anything there. But as we've discussed before, it's kind of clear as about how the Videogate thing was handled, how there was no statement of support for Kenny like straight away, and him and Alan Kelly disagreed about it intensely. So that was that. Spoke about the Videogate, and he's kind of said that this is going to be the last I'll say in the matter. We became aware of the Daily Mail story. It took us 48 hours to establish all the facts. Interesting, he said, I was able to watch the video myself. I was the only English person on the board who watched it. On a personal basis, I was not offended by the video at all. And I genuinely think we must move on from it now. Yeah, so I think he's happy to just like put it behind us now. And I think the rest of the squad will be happy. Just the whole thing was a bit of a shit show, to be honest, like kind of storming a teacup, I thought. And probably best to move on from it. A little bit about John Delaney, as much as we fucking hate talking about him. I don't know John, so I can't answer questions in terms of being his predecessor. Jonathan Hill said, I like to think of an open approach to doing business. I'm not afraid to take decisions. I've a good understanding of the world of football, so to be honest, he didn't really say anything with John Delaney there. Really interesting and pretty commendable. I think credit where credit's due to the FAI about turning away betting sponsors. We know that the FAI has really has yet to, what's the word, to get like a big sponsor is yet to like sponsor the men's national team. Three walked away from the deal, I think last summer. But he said we had a number of offers from betting companies, and after some debate, it was decided it was something the board did not want to do. We will not have a betting partner. So yeah, I think credit where credit's due. Like that's not an easy thing. We know that. I think it's half the Premier League teams have a betting company on their shirt. There's a lot of stuff in the UK at the moment trying to decrease the amount of betting advertising during football games, and I think it's a big issue that we could probably do a whole different podcast on. So I thought that was pretty cool by the FAI to pretty like credit where credit's due. A little bit about Robbie Keane, where he kind of didn't say much at all, and just a minimum expectation from the World Cup 22 campaign. We're as positive and optimistic about the campaign.
I think we did see where he said, I hope we'll have fans in the stadium when we beat Portugal to go to the World Cup, or something along those lines. I think he was
yeah, all right.
So we're talking shoot himself in the foot there.
Yeah.
But talking about kind of like October, November last year, I genuinely think it was a really tough period for Stephen. Let's hope he's most of the players for the games against Serbia and Luxembourg. I know Stephen believes we can qualify. You'd expect him because he's ambitious, committed, and a professional coach. So yeah, pretty optimistic. A bit about the World Cup 2030 bid with the UK. They're hoping to make a submission to that, which would be pretty cool. Like,
just the one stadium, is it?
Croker,
no,
maybe. Croker, surely Croker.
Croker, yeah, the Viva.
How big is Thomond Park?
Park Equive or something like.
How big is Thomond Park?
No, it's not that big. It's like 20,000 or something, 25,000.
I thought.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
You get a group game in there. You get a group game.
Around Serbia or something.
But where's the
playing in Limerick? Like.
Iran and Serbia, like I was walking around Limerick City, like.
And then just the last thing I was saying. Jonathan Hill said we're committed to hosting the 4 games planned for Euro 2020 this summer. I think the UEFA have a deadline of like the middle of April for the 12 countries to get back to them and say if they're going to go ahead or not. So there'll be a little bit of government pressure on that. Poland, Slovakia, and Sweden are due to play group games in Dublin. Whether it's 9, 10, or 15,000 fans, I think they'll be very happy with that. Another option was like if international travel isn't possible, you could have like Irish people as well as Polish, Slovakian, and Swedish people living in Ireland going to the games. So that's one to keep an eye on. But yeah, a lot in there, and I'd point anyone towards Dan's piece in The Independent if they want to read more.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, I thought, overall, obviously, kind of, there is positives to take from the press conference, but yeah, I suppose we'll move on towards. Actually, you know what it is, lads? I'm getting sick of talking about this shit at this stage, but because last week, because sometimes we kind of clip up like a 5-10 minute part of the live show and put it up as a separate video on YouTube, like as a separate video, like the next day or whatever, and we had to like blur some of the recent one out, which we weren't overly pleased to have to do, but we did do it anyway. But we've seen more abuse towards an Irish player. Aston Villa have reported sickening and abhorrent online racist abuse of teenage winger Tyreek Wright to West Midlands Police. He's from Cork. But yeah, the messages received on his Instagram were absolutely horrific, and it just seems like this is just fucking never ending. Like at this stage, I think this is 4 weeks in a row we've had to talk about this shit.
Yeah, I do think I do think there has to be a change due. Like, I mean, we've talked about it so many times, but like it does feel like I mean, the last few weeks it's definitely ramped up, not even just with Irish players, with other players in the UK and stuff. You've seen there's way more players deactivating their accounts nowadays on Instagram and Twitter and stuff, which I think is a good thing, to be honest with you, like, just because it's highlighting the amount of shit that they're getting, like, which is like completely unwarranted. It does feel like we're moving towards the next step, hopefully, of something like being done about it, like, you know. I'm not saying necessarily that there's anything going to be done on behalf of the social media companies, because I think it will take an enormous pressure for like for Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, any of these places to like implement some of the strategies that people have been saying, like, oh yeah, you have to have like ID before you sign up and stuff. Like, in reality, that's I mean it's a good idea, but in reality, trying to put pressure on, you know, multi-billion-dollar companies to do it, like, I mean, I'd be surprised. I'd honestly be very surprised. But I do think in terms of policing it and stuff and getting them prosecuted for that kind of stuff more, it's happening more. Like, obviously, it happened with Ian Wright, the fella in Cork again, or Kerry. It didn't happen. Like, he didn't get prosecuted. But, like, hopefully that's one step forward into, you know, tackling an issue, which is, it's really, like, it's horrible. And it shouldn't be an issue in this day and age, like, you know. Like, obviously, say what you want about the player, criticize the player all you want, but like when it comes to that kind of stuff, it's just, you know, you're scumbag, like, you know.
It's horrible. Like, he's 19 years of age. He's a teenager. Like, he's a kid, and he's getting this shit. Like,
yeah, exactly,
horrible.
Like, so
I just think it's mad the way we got an email about someone's privacy, like someone who racially abused someone, but like they can't shut down these accounts. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we weren't allowed to talk about someone who racially abused someone else. But like they're allowed to actually racially abuse people. Like, it's pretty shocking. Like, I mean, the whole system, I think, needs to change and stuff around it. Like, the way people are dealt with, like that, the punishment we've gone back to it a couple of times. The punishment that the kid, you say Kerry or whatever it was, just shocking. Like he literally got away with doing it. Like, what kind of message does that send? Like, it's gonna happen again. It's gonna keep happening until something's done about it. It's the way it is. Like,
going back to what you were saying there about like the email, like if someone's willing to like say this shit on a social platform to someone, they better be fucking ready for them to be like fucking talked about and exposed. Like,
exactly.
I think you should give up your right to privacy when you racially abuse someone.
Exactly.
And then this person was putting stuff on their own public story and stuff as well, like trying to excuse themselves, and like just fucking hell. Like I wasn't happy when I was told to kind of blur stuff and everything, but did it anyway. But like say, as you're saying, Griff, like YouTube aren't going to like individually look at this case. Like they just got it and they're going to send it on.
Exactly. And like I do obviously, because I think like, you know, it's they're going to look at it and be like, oh, it's a minor either way or whatever. But I think if you're like, I mean, when we were 15, 16, like we weren't sending, you know, whatever to players, you know, or like, you know, messages like that to players, like, because you have a bit of, you know, fucking cop on, like, and you're actually like, you know, a decent person, I think. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're old enough to do that, you're probably old enough to face the consequences. That's just how I feel. But yeah, we'll see. It's
that's what we were saying. Like, remember we were like that fella that racially abused Ian Wright over Instagram last week.
18
years later, he avoided prosecution for that. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, crazy.
We'll just move on from that. But at this stage, I'm just sick of fucking talking about it. But I think it is important for us to highlight it. Like, if it is happening, it is important for us to discuss it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's definitely. We get sick of talking about it a lot because it's so depressing. But I can't imagine how the victims would actually feel like.
Absolutely.
Receiving it themselves. So yeah, it's definitely important to highlight and hopefully just keep doing it until something really is done about it.
For sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. Moving on to the LOI, lads. Big news that's kind of breaking. I don't think it's confirmed fully just yet, but it's more or less done and dusted. Richie Towell is imminently returning to the League of Ireland when his contract with Salford expires in, I think it's June. And the talk with the town, no pun intended, is that he has avoided the move to Dundalk and chosen Shamrock Rovers instead. And Dundalk fans have been calling him a snake, calling every word under the sun like that. You kind of get where they're coming from, but he's been 29 years of age, offered a 3.5-year deal worth 500,000, which breaks down to what, like just under 3,000 a week. You have to understand why he's chosen to join the champions.
Definitely, yeah. Like when you heard he was coming back, like, or talk of him coming back, you did kind of expect him to end up back at Dundalk. But I mean, I certainly wouldn't have turned down that deal, like the Rovers deal. Like, and I think it's going to be a good move from. Like, definitely, they need a player like that with a bit of that quality, and it's good to see him come back to the league.
Definitely, 3.5-year deal is almost like unheard of in the LOI, isn't it?
No, absolutely, yeah, 100%. What actually meant to say beforehand actually was, when we were talking about Stephen Kenny there, was bring Declan Devine into it a little bit, but I can bring it in here. The fact that we were talking to him, we did an interview with Declan Devine last week. It's coming out this week or next week, but he talked about how important it was to get the likes of David Parkhouse on a 3-year deal. I think they got their captain Owen Toll on a 3-year deal at Derry City. So it just shows you, hopefully the League of Ireland is working towards getting players on these longer deals, which are no longer going to be ripped off by fucking English clubs getting them for absolutely nothing. I think Danny Grant ran his contract down, but because he was under 23 or something, they got a little bit of money for him, but nowhere near what he's actually worth. So it's good to see that clubs are able to start kind of getting a few years on the contract. But Richie Towell, 3.5-year deal, 29, it's a bit risky, isn't it? A little bit, like.
I don't know. I think 29. I think there's definitely an overemphasis nowadays on, like, if you get 30-year-old, like, and I do think that, like, with the amount of, like, you know, especially he's been playing in England the last few years. Like, he's a professional footballer. He's definitely fit as can be. Like, 3 years, what's that? He'll be 32. Like, I mean, you think he'll be good. It's just a matter of, like, if he comes and he's not, because obviously we all remember how good he was like a few years ago when he was in the LOI. But like, if he comes now and he's not, you know, even half the player he was, like, there will be questions asked, you know, and then like 3 years on that deal, like it's a lot of money, like a lot of money for a player who, like, if he doesn't step up and he's not contributing, like, there'll be questions asked. But I do think he has the quality, like, even like, he's still, getting his game, and albeit it's League Two, but for Salford, like he was getting he's still getting his game there. So I mean, he's a good player. There's no doubt about it. I do think he will do well. Like,
he had an injury for the first half of this season or something like that, but he's only getting back into the side now a little bit. Interesting career, to be honest. Like he's got 25 goals from midfield when he was last in the League of Ireland. Like unbelievable tally to get. Like I remember watching him at Talca Park when Dundalk beat Shell 6-1, and he scored from the halfway line. Like he was just something like he's just levels above everybody. Like, and I think he got moved to Brighton in the Championship at the time. I think they might have got promoted that season, so it was really an idea, like, because he probably was Championship level, like, needed, or at least needed a season at Championship before moving up to the Prem. So then I think he went to Rotherham in League One, and then worked into the Championship with them. Was kind of in and out of the team a little bit, but was still a good, like, really good player. Going to Salford then, a little bit out of the blue, but not question his character, because I did exactly the same thing at that kind of like stage of your career. You're looking towards kind of securing your future for your family and stuff like that. Salford obviously have a huge kind of wage budget with was a class of 92 owning the club, so moving there would have been influenced financially, similarly to this move actually as well. So yeah, I do think it's one of those where you do have to look out for, like, when you're at this age 29, it's crucial to pick the move where 3.5 year deal worth $500,000. Like, you're going to pick the one to kind of secure your family's future a little bit, aren't you? Always.
No brainer.
It's always going to be inflated when there's like your contracts expire. The wage is always a little bit higher, but like, yeah, it would have been silly to turn this one down, I think, for him.
Yeah, no, for sure. The last thing on this one as well, actually, did I cut your cost there, Ty? Did I?
No.
The last thing on this one was, it just shows the discrepancy between, like, Rovers' budget and, like, a Finn Harps, that they can afford to do this, like, bring this player back. It's like,
it's great.
I don't know. I suppose it's the case everywhere, though, isn't it? You have to just invest to compete. Like,
it's just there, yeah. It shows the difference that, like, some clubs living week to week, like, and then others, able to, like, they have the financial security to spend $500,000 like on one player.
With no fans coming to the ground, right? Like, for the foreseeable.
It's
like,
mental. It's mental, yeah. And I do think, though, hopefully, like, hopefully with, the Conference League and stuff coming in, like, if a few teams from the League of Ireland get in and around there, maybe that a bit more money into the league, like, obviously an ideal as well, if, like, with, the FAI being under new ownership, if we get a bit more prize money and stuff, like, which is because the prize money in the LOI is an absolute joke at the moment. It's just reinvestment. Hopefully more teams will be able to spend that kind of money. Do you know what I mean? Make it more fresh in the league. Like you're saying about, like, David Parkhouse and stuff getting 3-year deals, which even Keith Long getting 4-year deal with Bowes. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, hopefully that's a move to becoming a more professional league, and not having players in the league who are on part-time contracts, working, a job, while playing football and stuff. You want to make it a fully professional league because you want the game to thrive ultimately. So, yeah, I don't know.
100%. I agree with you. Richie Towell obviously got the Shamrock Rovers, as we said. Bit of Rovers news over the weekend was that Robbie Keane was in the dugout. Did anyone see that?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. I'm not sure what his role is. It's kind of like the Irish team as well. Nobody knew what he was kind of doing.
Just floating around, like
living in the past. Robbie is like just going and training. Like, let's go on, doing the finger guns, just doing the celebration and training. Like, scoring against Rovers players, like,
oh my god,
spinning fucking Pico Lopez and burying it. Like, no, I don't think you get around Pico Lopez, in fairness. But Joe, what was the LOI meme with Pico Lopez in it again? It was the
lockdown won't be that hard to get through or something. It's like,
yes, yeah.
That's a lockdown.
Another LOI memes video. Yeah, it's another one being filmed this week, let's say. Possibly.
Yeah, we need to. To be fair, we've had a few sent in now, and especially with all the stuff that's going on recently, like with the LOI, there's going to be more, like, interesting ones. So yeah, definitely tune in.
More happening, you can get more top buildings. The problem is half the time we'll see them and we're just laughing at them, we just start sending them in, like, and just looking at them. Like, you need to get the real reaction.
It's very, you have to, like, act the reaction out. Like, we're not known to do any of that kind of stuff. But Soccer, you might hop on the next LOI memes video, will you? You weren't on the last two, but.
No.
Your mic on, Soccer?
Listen,
Is your mic on?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck's sake! I started talking about Robbie Keane, and just no one knows.
I would have loved that. Like.
I was like,
what were you saying about it?
I was like, oh yeah, my mate Adam's a Rovers supporter, and he said he's just there to help out, like he's not being employed or anything, and just no one was listening to me. I was like,
oh my god, I couldn't hear you. Like,
you're a bit eerily quiet, to be honest. I was thinking a little bit,
but I was just gonna say, I'd love to hop on the memes video. I was voted in the Zoom, the birthday Zoom we had a while back as the most boring in the group. So I know I'd be great crack in the meme video. So can't wait.
We voted that way. That's harsh, actually, isn't it? Yeah.
I thought it was harsh. Now.
So if it makes you feel any better, I was voted most annoying and most likely to be homeless. So you
missed about 11 more there. Like,
yeah, I know. Like, I won't get into them. I want to preserve my character somewhat.
It's good crack.
Yeah. We'll move on anyway towards talking about RTE doing a serious number on the LOI, not for the first time, you know. I actually was trying to remember the name of this show because it was just so badly marketed and advertised. I think they put it on at 11 o'clock at night towards the end. And they've now come out and said that the LOI Weekly Highlights show by RTE is actually no longer feasible. So, they're just an absolute disgrace.
There's too many reruns of First City going on at the moment. I'm sorry. There's no space for it. I don't
understand. Like, the games are being filmed anyway. Like, that's my whole thing. Like, it's not that hard to put it together, clip it together, and stick someone talking over it. Like,
not feasible. Like, what's that even mean? Like, a few years ago, to be fair, it used to be really good. Like,
Savage.
I remember I used to be watching it all the time when I was younger. And then the production of it the last few years was fucking shite. Like, it was just really bad. Like,
but sometimes it'd be 2 game weeks, like in one night, like as well. Like, it's just dire. Like, you're waiting 2 weeks to watch the highlights.
Yeah, the game would be like 3 minutes of highlights. I think, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a fucking accountant, but like, it's a bit funny hearing like someone from RT saying like it's not financially feasible when fucking Ryan Tuberty and Ray Darcy and Miriam are getting £500,000 a year.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's a different story. But like, aside from that, yeah, pretty disappointing. Like, I think like the national broadcaster should have at least a highlights like match of the day style program for the National League. There's a lot of people on Twitter, including I think it was the Bows media manager, was saying like RT were kind of happy they were looking for a reason to get rid of it in the end. Like, the last few years it's been declining, as Tig said, like they were putting on at 11:30 on a Monday night. But yeah, pretty disappointing. It's only for this year apparently, so hopefully things might change in the next 2 or 3 years. But yeah, it was a bit of a after the RT announcement and the Watch LOI thing was great. It was a bit of a shit like ending.
They kind of like put the good news and then it's like, I'll slip that in behind it.
Yeah. Definitely.
This is going to be your only LOI content on a Monday night right here every Monday for the next
every Monday, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. Make sure to subscribe. But yeah, no, because it could be a cracking show, like an hour-long analysis after each, like match of the day kind of thing off. Like, it could be absolutely brilliant. Like, it's such a fucking shame. Like,
that's what I said earlier. Like, we're not looking for fucking Jamie Carragher and Neville with like big 3D screens. Like, all you want is just decent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, what do match of the day do? Like on average, like 6 or 7 minutes.
Show the highlights, like just show the fucking highlights. Have a bit of talk after, like that's it. Like,
it's not hard. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Actually, we got a question about what we were going to talk about next. From Jay McCushla. Our Shamrock Rovers showing their friendlies. Dundalk look good on YouTube. I was just about to discuss the Dundalk Bow stream. Absolutely savage. 12 o'clock on like noon time, like, and 15,000 views I think it got, like, which is very good for, I think it was a Friday afternoon. Like, obviously people in lockdown just have it on in the background while they're working. Obviously, no, like even at halftime, I think Stephanie Roach was commentating with Adrian Taff. I think I'll say his name, and at halftime they had like an interview with Stephanie with like one of the Dundalk players, and they always had like good little bits and pieces going throughout. It was really, really good quality, and I thought the stream was excellent, to be fair, and very, very impressed with it.
Yeah, and that's how simple it is to do as well. Like, I wouldn't say that cost a lot of money. It's for a friendly as well. You get 15,000 people watching it. Like, the interest is there. Like, there's no doubt about that. Like, it's just about like, and to be honest, like at this stage, majority of LOI fans are not particularly demanding. Like, you want the basics. Like, to be fair, like if we had been stuck without like Soccer Republic and without Watch LOI, like, oh Jesus, I don't know what would have happened. Like, so there was definitely like nothing. Like, how do you watch games? You don't like.
Yeah. It's even Longford, I think, deserve credit as well. We obviously discussed it last week a little bit about their media marketing manager, Jay Donnelly, kind of coming out and criticising LOI teams for not like advertising their friendly games and stuff. But in fairness to Dundalk and Bows here, Dundalk really, I think it was on their YouTube page and stuff. So they did a really, really good job. And there's a few comments coming in. Excellent stream. If all games were of that quality, there should be a good uptake on the service. Exactly, yeah. Lenny says the Dundalk Bowl stream was quality. And Des Gallagher says, I remember 2016 Soccer Republic started one night at 11:40. Actually got moved to 7 p.m. but was then cut in half. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Half an hour long, like.
But just about the Bows thing, it's on their Instagram Friday morning. They were playing a game, I think at noon, and then at 8 o'clock, I think they were playing 7 or 8. They were playing UCD. I think it was UCD, and my first thought was like, fucking 2 games in a day for the players. I totally forgot like they were putting out 2 different 11s.
Shamrock Rovers did the same as well, I think.
Yeah. I think right now is like the most potential they have to get viewers. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, no one's anything else to do. Like, people need football. Like, I get they're gonna have competition. I mean, the Premier League games on now almost every night because they're showing every game as well. But like, people want football. They need entertainment. Like, I think it's the perfect opportunity for them to start things like this. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what I haven't been doing it for a while. Like,
no, exactly,
absolutely. And it's the thing as well. Like, if the quality of the streams are good, they're gonna keep people there. Like, if you like, there's definitely an opinion amongst people who don't watch LOI that it's like an amateur organization's organized badly and stuff. And I think that the FAI definitely doesn't help in some ways by or like the RTE or whatever definitely play into that stereotype when you do have like Soccer Republic, which is just like a few highlights and it's kind of like thrown away, like it doesn't even matter, like, do you know what I mean? So if you make the league more professional and you make the production of it the way it's advertised, marketed more professional, it's going to drag in more people, do you know what I mean? And it's a knock-on effect, like it's going to be a positive effect for everyone involved. So
definitely say that's just 15. You said 15,000 people for a preseason friendly on a Friday. Like, that can only, I know it was probably the first like big
league
this season. Yeah. So I can only imagine that would increase marginally, if anything. But there's a big opportunity for clubs. Like, you stick a few ads before, at halftime and after, or like say this Bows Dundalk stream is sponsored by X. Or, there's money to be made there. Like, so it's a good opportunity.
We got sponsorships when we were getting. Like, when we had 1,000 subscribers and stuff like that, like, I'm sure they get sponsorships for those games and make a few quid back off them. Like, because
we are looking for sponsors at the moment.
I was going to say,
yeah, like it couldn't cost that much to put them on. Like, I mean, like, of a decent quality.
Yeah, no, for sure. 2 players actually stood out to me in that game, just off topic a little bit from what we were talking about, but Liam Burt took his goal really, really well for Bows. He looks a smashing player, scored against Shales as well. And then Ryan O'Kane, shout out as well, 17-year-old for Dundalk, looks like a really, really good talent. I'm talking about young players breaking into the team. It kind of brings us on to our next topic that we're going to talk about, which is under 23 players coming from England into the LOI, which has been a bit of a topic I've seen prop up a little bit. So there's kind of pros and cons to it both. The pros kind of being the standard increasing over here, obviously getting top players from England coming in, and if the players do well in the LOI from English clubs, the LOI will be seen as a viable route, especially if they go back to England and do well back over there after a loan deal. Obviously the cons being that it's kind of stunting the progress over like a very promising under-19 setup that we have. And it kind of leads into another point as well, which we can talk about, which is like, I heard someone saying we need like a 3rd league below the 1st division. We used to have it called like an A league, I think it was called, where like under-19 teams could play. as well as some teams that want to go up, like say a St. Francis or something like that, want to go up into the first division and work their way up. So like a third tier. I think it might have been mentioned in Jonathan Hill's press conference actually, but I think it'd be a great idea to maybe get some, like a Shamrock Rovers 2, for example, into like a third tier and have like the likes of St. Francis, if they want to get into the first division and stuff, like competing in that division. I think it could be a good stepping stone towards like proper professional football, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think on the whole it's a positive thing as well. Like getting decent players, like quality players, even on loan from the UK, like can only be a good thing. Realistically, I do understand like you want to give Irish players and players who played at the club a chance, and I do think that like on the most part, but like a lot of players will come from the UK and just walk into a team like because ultimately, like if a club's loaning from England to here, they'll want them to be starting and playing games, like
in the contract deal as well.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? So, but on the whole, I do think it's good, at least for the next few years anyway. Like, bring up the reputation of the league a good bit. I do think, it brings money into the league as well, So, So I think on the whole, it's a good thing, like for now anyway.
Yeah, you're right, Ross. There was a little bit of that talked about in the press conference. The new Brexit rule says that under 18 Irish players can't go over to England until they're 18. Whereas in the past they could go over from age 16. But he was saying Jonathan Hill spoke of improving structures at home and doing better in terms of accessing government and European funding. But he also did discuss that the FAI remain in talks with FIFA around the rules that stop Irish players going to England until they're 18. So, like on the one hand, in an ideal world, I know we're going off topic from the under 23 thing, but in an ideal world, you'd like your best players in the League of Ireland for as long as possible and send them off to England then to better academies where you can make the comparison, like the English academies are streets ahead of ours.
In terms of facilities, everything. Yeah.
Facilities, like staff, like it's unmatched. But on the other hand, the more players that stay in Ireland, the more incentive there is to like increase standards here and like get an academy like Dundalk's or Bows or Rovers to every Premier Division club or First Division club. So there's two ways of looking at it. But for the moment anyway, players between the ages of 16 and 18 can't go over to England. They have to wait until they're 18.
Yeah. And I suppose, that could be good in terms of getting, like, I know you've always talked about players going over and like fucking up their education a bit by going over at 16 and stuff. If they were to wait till 18, they get to leave insert in and stuff like that and have a bit of a educational background before heading over, which is obviously ideal, which is what you want. But I think a lot of English clubs are incorporating that in a bit where they have to do their education over there and stuff like that as well. But at the end of the day, like for a lot of them, football is like the main thing on their minds. But kind of touching back on the under 23s coming from England, do you think that like it is kind of stunting the progress a little bit, like where we're bringing young players in? It's kind of like it's a hard one to like.
I think at the end of the day, you want the league to be at the best level possible. Like, so if we can improve it in any way, like, and because it's going to bring more people in, like I think the league's at a better standard, and it might actually push up the standard of our own players, like playing with alongside better players and stuff like that. So I think overall it is positive. I mean, you don't want it to become like an English 5th division, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want just the whole thing to be. Yeah. I mean, that's not going to happen. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it is a positive thing. Like, you know, I mean, it's going to increase the standard of the league and hopefully then bring more people in.
Yeah, and I'll just touch. The last thing I'll say in it as well. I think if clubs in the UK are sending players over here to go on loan, and then they see that there's other quality players in the league, potentially see it as like, because you don't see many players. Like it's rare occasion really, or like not as rare as it should be that players go from here to bigger clubs in England. So like it would be good if players who went on loan here at the same clubs, scout the league, know the league better, and actually see it as a viable place to, buy and sell players too. So, I think it'll be. I think it's good for everyone, to be honest with you.
Yeah, definitely. Touching actually, we were asked on Twitter about the about Treaty United. So their squad was announced over the weekend. A few names that stood out to me, just off the top of my head: Ty Grind, the goalkeeper, Charlie Fleming, the fullback from Cork, and Joel Castrain, formerly of Shamrock Rovers, I think, as well. So they do look to have a competitive squad, and it was nice to also see that they retired. They kept the number 4 shirt, remained retired in tribute to former Limerick United captain Joe O'Mahony, which is a nice touch as well. But how good is it to have Shamrock Rovers 2 kind of out of the division and have a Limerick team back in it?
Savage. Sorry. Like, you're going to interrupt me. Obviously, after Limerick FC like folding there a while back, like there's all Limerick fans will now support Treaty United. I'd imagine, and like it's a big footballing city.
Yeah,
obviously, like huge rugby city and huge GA city as well. So to have football back in Limerick is great. And yeah, most first division clubs were not in favour of having Shamrock Rovers B team in the league again. So I think out of the 3 and Rovers, Dublin County, Treaty, I think most people would want Treaty in that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like touch on the last thing as well. If we had 3 tiers, like they could all be involved, which is like what I think we should work towards nearly.
Yeah. I think the idea as well that you're saying as well, it's a good idea if you had like B teams in the 3rd division, then you had like, because there's like Monaghan Select, and I'm not sure if it's like, but they have like under 21 teams from like, you know, select parts of the country and stuff. So if you put them all in one league and had it kind of as a reserve, like, you know what they do in the UK, like PL2 in the UK, like just have that. Like, I know there's an under 19s league or whatever, but I think it would just be good, like if you had like 3 tiers that you could actually see like some progress and a bit more integration as well from like the Munster Senior League, the Leinster Senior League. Because there's not a huge like they're 2 separate entities. You know what I mean? So having a bit more integration between them and a bit more of a pathway between them, I think would be brilliant. Like
for sure. Yeah. So what I was going to say there. I think we asked on Twitter beforehand to just give a quick shout out to the Sligo Rovers documentary called Shine. I think it's up on Oisin Moran's YouTube channel, and I think it's on Sligo Rovers' YouTube channel as well. But basically, it's based on fans, players, and the community behind the club. I watched it, and it was just really, really good watch. I'd recommend you to go watch it. So yeah, I think we're just over the hour mark, so we're probably about to finish up. Do we want to do our weekly check of the likes and see how close we are?
Not near, don't we? Like 30 or something. 31.
We are on 30, I think. Yeah, 30.
30, yeah. Can we? 27 people watching. We work towards 50. But usually you get a few when it's after it's out as well. So
if you haven't liked already, throw us one. Unless you didn't like it, then don't.
We really appreciate it.
A few decent videos coming now next few weeks as well.
Oh, stop.
Stay tuned. Big things coming.
That's if we don't have to delete our channel in the next couple days. Cease and desist letter coming from the FAI. So
make sure to subscribe, because we're going to have the LOI memes video coming out towards probably next week. I'd say, but we're going to film it this week. So if you want to send us any LOI memes that you have in mind, send them to us on Twitter or Instagram. And we do have a lot of player interviews and manager interviews actually coming out in the next week or two as well, which we're excited for. So yeah, lots of good stuff coming up. So make sure to subscribe on our road to 3K. Do really, really appreciate it. Lads, it's been an absolute pleasure as always.
Thanks, guys.
Sound lads. Appreciate it.
Cheers.